Hi. Um, so this is a support video for your nervous system regulation pranayama, meaning breathing technique. I have learned this technique from my days of practicing intensely Kriya Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Himalayan yoga tradition. I was fully immersed into the yoga practice. And this one of the technique that allowed me to actually sit for hours in meditation without being disturbed. Because what it does, it actually relaxes your mind, it relaxes your nervous system, it really regulates your nervous system and puts it back into balance, and it calms down the mind, it calms down the emotions, and it relaxes the body. It also greatly oxygenates your blood and oxygenates your brain, which is like all the good things. So it takes very little time. It builds up and becomes very effective over time. You can even feel the benefits almost right away. When can you use this breathing technique? You can use it anytime. Anytime you feel anxious, anytime you feel stressed. You can use it before bedtime, only takes 5 minutes. You can use it before, prior to meditation. You can use it before giving a class or needing to be speaking in public if that's your thing, and if your system gets hijacked at that moment, just take 5 minutes break, go to the bathroom, and just do a few breaths like that. So this breath is called Ujjayi Pranayama. Ujjayi Pranayama is a translation from Sanskrit would be victorious breath. So the victorious breath, Ujjayi Pranayama, is a powerful technique that you can implement in your daily life. I would really recommend doing it once a day. The formula that I would really recommend, it would be 12 breaths, and I'll teach you later how to easily count them with your fingers. So you don't need to count and you don't need to add extra counting, because you actually going to be counting the actual length of the breath, because the ratio of the breath will be 1 to 2, and I'll explain that later. So first and foremost, let's dive into the actual technique and how do we do that breath. So to really get acquainted with what is it happening, what's really happening here, there is going to be a certain kind of unlocking or opening, and at the same time opening, at the same time almost like a pressure in the throat area that's going to produce like a hissing sound to the breath. The hissing sound is actually allows the nervous, the whole has all the magic behind it to calm the nervous system. So that's very important. The louder the sound, the better and the calmer the effect is. So, and it resembles as if fogging a mirror. So if we can start by just get your hand up, that would be your mirror. And okay, so let's say, so your mirror here, and you want to fog this mirror. So what do you do usually? You just fill your lungs with your breathing in from your nose, opening your mouth. Do you hear the sound? Now do it one more time. Now don't pay attention on how it feels, because it feels warm and nice, but do pay attention, what are you doing with your throat in that moment? So again, breathing in from your nose, opening your mouth, paying attention on what's happening in the throat. You can do it a few times. The actual breathing technique is not with your mouth open, it's going to be with your mouth closed, but this gives you an idea of what's going on with the throat. And I'm not recommending to try to breathe in with your mouth open. You're just going to breathe in some dust, and it's just usually makes everyone cough. So some people teach it this way. I don't recommend it. and I just actually previously tried it and I had like this crazy cough attack. So I'm gonna try to avoid it, and we can start learning right away with our mouth closed. So closing our mouth, it would sound almost like snoring, and the louder you are, the better. So I hope you can hear it through the microphone. I hope it's going to be clear, but I'm just going to demonstrate a one inhalation and one full exhalation of Ujjayi Pranayama. So I'm just going to empty my lungs first. I'm going to breathe in. Hold and then breathe out. So first you might find it uneven, and the sound itself gets wavery eventually, or maybe very, very, very quiet. Eventually, with practice, it's going to become louder and it's going to become much more steadier. It means that the practice is actually working really well and you're advancing, and the effect is going to be very felt. And now, so my recommendation again is 12 rounds. How do you count 12 rounds? There's an easy way, no matter how you're sitting. So the sitting has to be comfortable. So you're either, I'm sitting cross-legged like this, but you can sit on a chair, and doesn't really matter as long as your spine and your body is straight. So you have the full lung capacity and the full capacity of your belly, so you can really get like a full breath. So another trick with counting, when I'm sitting with cross-legged, it's easy to have my hands on my lap. Unfortunately, you can't see, because if I'll demonstrate it from here, you could probably see, but you cannot hear me. So I'll have my hands here. But just for the video, I just have to be close because I don't have a separate microphone for this. So what do I do with my hands when they're laying at my lap, no matter where you're sitting, in the chair or cross-legged on the floor or on the cushion? You're going to be counting. So we have 12 sections, on 3 sections on each finger, right? So what are you going to be doing? So while my hand is like this, I'm going to be counting. Oops. I'm going to be counting every section for one breath. Every section for one breath. So I inhale, exhale. I hold my finger, my thumb to my first partition here on the index finger. Then with the second breath, inhale and exhale, I'll hold it here. Third breath, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 9, 10, 11, 12. This way, you don't need to count in your mind, but all you need to do is just count the partitions on your fingers, and it's gonna give you the 12 breaths. Now, what else? Another element that really helps with that is the ratio. The ratio is very important. Why is it so important? Because what happens, it slows down your breathing, and eventually with practice, you might start, the ratio is 1 to 2. So if you inhale on the count of 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, then your exhalation would be on the count of 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you inhale again. Count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale on 8. And so on with the 12 breaths. Eventually you'll start finding that you can now, with practice, maybe for 2-3 days, you'll start noticing that now you can extend it, and your capacity of expanding your lungs becomes greater and bigger, and you'll be able to inhale on a count of 10 and exhale on a count of 20. So don't be rigid with like what's the ratio, what's the count is, as long as the count stays 1 to 2. Eventually you will notice, maybe after a month of practicing, you will notice that you'll be able to breathe in on the count of 30 and breathe out on the count of 60. And that's like when your mind's gonna be super, super still. And that gives you a minute and a half, basically, of still mind, absolutely calm nervous system, and just a soothing effect of this breathing. So of course, you need to practice to get there, but a little bit of practice every day goes a long way. As long as we're persistent, as long as we're committed to this one practice, you'll see the benefits right away. So I would recommend at least once a day to do this kind of breathing, either when you really need it, or make it a habit, make it a routine, attach it, let's say, before I brush my teeth, or before I have my coffee, or whatever it is, something that is already there in your routine, attach it to it. So before I do this thing, have my breakfast, before I have my breakfast, I'm just going to do 5 minutes of Ujjayi Pranayama. That's it. If you do have a meditation in place that you actually sit down and meditate every day, just do it before meditation. Another good trick, just do it before sleep. But don't lie down and do it. Sit down actually on the bed and just do the breathing and lie down, and don't stimulate your mind, but actually go to sleep. You'll see it's going to be very easy to switch off into very restful sleep. There's another trick that, a very yogic kind of trick, but I think it really, really helps to circulate the energy in a proper way. And it's actually to do with the tongue. So the tongue, when we breathe, when we inhale, we curl it and we place it, the tip of the tongue, kind of up, looking up into our palate. Yeah. And you hold the tongue like this. So what it does, it's just there is a certain energy, prana, vital energy, that is able to circulate in the right direction. So that also has esoteric and certain benefits that I found really useful. You can either dismiss it or either include it and see for yourself. For me, that was a part of my practice. That's how I know to do this particular breathing. And I almost can't necessarily do without the whole the tongue being in place this way. But I know other people do without it, and that's totally okay. So it's up to you. Either you want to do it the full yogi way and being as extreme as I was, but it did pay off. So however you find it helpful in your life, I hope it's really helping you to be able to be more present, to be more here, to be more balanced, to be more content in the present moment. No need to escape anymore. The more we do KI, the more we meditate, the more we inquire, the more we regulate our nervous system, the freer and the more intimate our life becomes. Much love.